Let's turn the sound up. We've been muted this whole time. Good thing I checked. We're muted. Yeah, I forgot to hit my mic. Well, here we go. We're about to get sound now. Let's turn this. There we go. Okay, now that you can hear us, I guess we could start over.
Well, maybe we can get a lip reader in the house.
Yeah, they'll translate for us. I'll go back through on that one. I'll try to remember what we said. Make up some stuff. Put it at the bottom down here. Just put like little words down here. Mike said something like this, yeah, but well, I guess we'll start over. Welcome back, episode 2. Yeah,
In a couple weeks.
in a couple weeks, I went out to Chandler to help another warehouse. They had all of their seasoned employees leave, so they wanted me to go out there and help them learn some of operations, standardization, trying to get things back on track for them. I think I helped a little bit, but it was not. I don't think it was enough, just because I wasn't there very long. And you wanted to head out.
Yeah, I would love to go out. You should have sent out somewhere. I'm gonna go out.
Out of the plan. But you gotta like been some. I mean, everybody slowed down, so we're not making as much money.
Yeah, when I first started, it was like top. It's very high possibility. What people know what they're doing. You try to go out, things slow up. So
I mean, it is
what needs you like they used.
But it is kind of fun to go out and do these
different cities, new environment, new atmosphere.
It's kind of cool.
See how different warehouse operates a little bit. See how they what they do different.
So the better point.
Yeah, my player was telling me one of the places he went, they don't even have supervisors. Just two.
Oh yeah, in Asia, we got a warehouse out in Asia. I remember he went to a couple Asian places. I'm just being vague about it. I think he said it was Taiwan. And they were saying that they have the managers and then just a bunch of tech twos, which could work.
But I mean, I guess it's all about, that situation. They're probably just doing the same job. It's just what the title,
Yeah.
They're basically similar. They just call it.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, they probably get overtime there.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I would have to go actually see how their operation was, but honestly,
it's probably small.
Yeah. Well, he was saying that it's because they have like a bunch of little teams, and then each team works with separate customers. And we're getting into the nitty gritty, but whatever. They work with individual customers, so I think that's why they don't have a supervisor. Because as a supervisor, I'm like the floor supervisor, as opposed to being I just deal with this one customer. They're only dealing with customer line. That would make more sense. That way you just have
they have a focus.
Yeah.
And they do what they need to do for that customer instead of just all around house operation.
I don't think that would work at our house.
No. Well, I mean,
we could make it work honestly, but I don't think it would be more beneficial than what we got. But yeah. Anyway, first topic was Ye, the new song that we've been talking about a little bit.
A new hit single.
I haven't actually. You listened to it, but I haven't listened to it yet.
I listened to it one morning on the way to work.
Yeah,
this is like 5:50 a.m.
Okay,
Come on, hold on.
No, you good? Hey, my best friend Scam Likely calling you.
Yeah. Made me think I had my phone so forwarded for work.
You gotta remember to turn that off, man.
Trust me. Last thing I want to do is hear a driver out front talking about what doors they want to go at home.
Yeah, no kidding.
But yeah, I'm on my way to work at 5:50 in the morning. I'm listening to this song. Before you listen to it, you hear the name. Right?
Well, I mean, that's a strong name.
That's what jumps out at you. Where could he possibly be going with it? And with all the, other handshakes he's had. No, I think swastika chain. And, he has an iced out medallion.
Might be a little.
And he got, you know, with the anti, you know, the things he said and he's put out there,
Mhm.
and you know, so the name of the song jumps out at you,
Right.
right? You know,
Which I think is
where's
the
Kanye
reason.
going?
I think it's half the reason he did that.
That's the reason.
Honestly, I think half the reason. From benefit of the
That's
doubt here, maybe he's on
shock
that.
value.
Yeah, I think he was.
It's all shock value.
Yeah,
So, you know, listen to the song. You know, I mean, he, it's definitely it's yelling it out. Okay, so you know,
But doesn't he? I've heard a little bit of it. But he's got like
it's in the hook,
chorus, right?
in the chorus. It is
It's in the chorus of
repeated.
the hook, I
It's
don't know.
repeated over and over.
Mhm.
You know, so it's not like it's just the title. It's not in the song, no. You know, but song is not a song that homage to.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's not a song that's.
So it's not praising.
It's not praising him. It's not a song that is. He's mostly talking about how he's viewed as a bad,
Mhm.
and you know, there has these kids. You know, he's losing money. You know, contracts and whatnot, endorsements. So he's saying, you know, you guys are treating me as if I'm as bad as Hitler.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm the new Hitler. Y'all should be like I'm the modern day Hitler. That's how he's. Which you know, outside looking in, nobody's treating him like. You know what I mean? Nobody's looking at.
I mean,
him.
if you want to be historical, technically everybody would be on his side.
You
I
know.
mean, he was very popular for the time.
Exactly. Right. But yeah, nobody's looking at this dude. Now, maybe his baby mama might be. I know some baby mama. You know, his baby mama look at me like I was, you
Right.
know, the worst person to walk this earth. You know, but
Okay.
so yeah, that's. But I will say this: it's a terrible song.
Is it just bad?
It's not. I mean, I listened to like I said, listen to it the whole way into work.
Okay.
You know, and I didn't finish the song. Work, you know, I worked at, I lived that close to work, so I didn't even finish the song. But you know, it can get catchy,
Mhm.
but it's a terrible song. You know what I mean? It's a terrible song.
I mean, there's a lot of songs that just like what's that song everybody attributes to Michael Jackson? That isn't Michael. He just did the hook.
Oh,
I feel like some.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Watching me.
Yeah.
And I can't get no sleep.
Yeah.
Right, that one.
Always feel like.
Yeah, that part. Fire. Rest of the song.
Rest of the song,
knows it.
nobody yet.
Nobody knows it.
That's why nobody knows that. The guy actually name is Rockwell. I'm not gonna say nobody knows the guy's name. His name is Rockwell. The name of the artist with that song, you know. But yeah, everybody think that was Michael Jackson's song. You know.
But it's a what?
Yeah, that was a hook. That was a fire hook.
It was.
It was a fire hook.
Everyone still thinks about that. I did. My wife and I were walking down the street, got fucking singing that hook just because it's so funny and good.
That's a good song.
It is. Well,
That's a good song. Well, the hook is basically that. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to have a good song without a good hook.
I will say that he played that part like 6 times in that song.
Yeah.
So you almost could say that is the song. Yeah, he had the little bits.
And you know, I think the guy that guy Rockwell, he kind of resembles Michael Jackson a little bit.
I want to say there was a connection. There was a connection.
So you might have seen that song and just told yourself, man, that's just Michael Jackson. And nobody else on there.
It's been so long since I remember hearing this, but I remember there was a connection. And the reason he sang on that is because of that connection. It was like a favor from like a family or. Really? I can't remember. Somebody else.
Y'all go check out. Go to YouTube. Look at Rockwell. Somebody watch me wherever the song's coming.
I mean, it's fun. It's a good song. It's fun to watch.
From the 80s.
Yeah.
Good
it's still so good, right?
But you know, that kind now I will say this. I hear that there's these influencers on, you know, TikTok people that have taken this Kanye West song and they're now making videos where they're actually doing the
they're doing the thing. I know saw a clip of Oh, what's that dude's name? He the Manosphere guy. He lives in like Russia. He was accused of sex trafficking. Police based on.
Oh, that you talk about the one brothers.
Yeah, he had a clip where, for whatever reason, he was walking down the street, lights a cigar, gets into some super expensive sport car, and like pops that song on and like drives off.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. And I was like, I don't know what he was trying to say, but there was
I
somebody
forget
was
that dude's name.
Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate.
Andrew
That's his
Tate,
name.
one of the
That
Tate
guy.
brothers.
That guy's crazy. He's dangerous. Not. I mean, obviously he's dangerous. He was a belted kickboxer or some shit like that. But it. I've been thinking about doing.
He's interesting fella.
Well, what I mean by dangerous is he's got very, very negative views on like a lot of things, but he starts out telling like truths and like as a motivational speaker is what he's trying to be. But it starts out with take care of yourself,
Yeah.
work out, be healthy,
And next thing
be
you know,
happy.
you're in a cult.
And then like 20 minutes later into the video, he's talking about women aren't nothing. They sleep with all. I'm like, bro, how did we get here? But like starting with that message.
So he's already with.
Yeah, crazy.
And now you're starting to believe like, oh, he made sense here. He must be making sense here too. It's a good manipulation.
It's crazy. It's like this is right, so clearly this must be right.
Good manipulation.
I hate it. I've been thinking about like one maybe on some of these videos we'll get deep into that and some other stuff, but let's get back to Kanye for a minute.
We'll touch on a lot of subjects. Touch on a lot of things.
We'll do a lot of things.
But piss a few people off.
But I have a question because he does rap, so I wanted to ask him his opinion. Do you think there is a way you could actually do a song legit good using the term Hail Hitler? Like, do you think it's just straight up off limits?
No. This is the thing. It's like hip hop is like to me. Hip hop is like comedy. Nothing is off.
I don't think anything should be personally.
Nothing is off limits, and you know other. And it's kind of like rock and roll too.
I don't think
Nothing is, you know.
I think
certain
in general.
certain genres, you know, certain. I don't think country could get away with that. I don't think R&B, you know, there's certain things that obviously don't give a fuck already.
I don't think it would work well in country, but if you were good enough, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to.
Yeah, but I don't think that would fly. I don't think it would fly in the country.
No, it would be
But you know,
too far off brand, I guess. But as far as let's just stick to rap, I guess. Do you think that it's not necessary? So you're like, it's not necessarily off limits. You're just like Kanye just didn't do it well.
It could be done. It could be done well.
Okay.
You could come with a concept that is. I mean, it would have to, in my opinion, it would have to be something that is deep mentally. I mean, the concept would have to be very thought provoking to be used in a title. You know,
well, I don't know.
it would have to be. It would have to be. You know, I don't understand what Kanye was trying to do, but you know, to me, it's like if we come with something like that controversial. You know,
I think he's
to be whining about not being able to see kids.
Right. I think he's just too stuck up on anti-Jew, and that he was like, "Well, if y'all gonna make me the bad guy, the best bad guy I could think of that's anti-Jew is."
He has. It's clear that he has beef with the Jews.
I don't know.
He has.
It is, but
he has a beef with him. Well, he said things that cost him.
Right.
So you know,
he definitely was like it.
You know, I mean, he didn't really say nothing that was extremely crazy. You know, I would call him. I would say that he's Jews. You know, the reality is that there's a certain community that controls that has a majority control over the industry.
I think it's falling though.
That's just that's falling yet. So when it comes to movies, music, there's a they control the dynamic.
There's a lot.
And
Mel Gibson.
there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, I don't think
Nothing wrong with that. But Kanye said since he's big, he also be in control.
Right.
It's his thing. He don't want to be in control.
Yeah.
He wants, and he said, they're the ones who would, if they don't want your stuff to get put out, they gonna get put out.
Right.
And
And the reason I say I think they're falling, but obviously not yet, is because the recording industries and whatever is still very much alive and well. But honestly, how hard is it to make your own song on a laptop and then just put it out there yourself?
Well, if you're Kanye, it's a lot easier.
Well, I mean, yeah, but
For him, he can put out, and then you see that's what he's doing. All the stuff that he's putting out. If you pay attention, if you pay attention to what he's putting out, this is all the music that they would let.
I wouldn't surprise me.
They wouldn't, and I'm not surprised either.
Yeah, nobody's like,
and if you think about it, the music that he is, the Kanye fell off. I'm gonna put it like that.
Okay.
Kanye West is one of the most brilliant minds in music. From the time he dropped the Graduation, the first album, on up to that beautiful Twisted Fantasy, all that.
Mm-hmm.
He was always for brilliance. All the production he did for people's brilliance.
Mm-hmm.
And now, it's not the same. It's not the same, And I listened to that Hitler song, and to me, it's hot garbage. It's hot garbage to me, but it sounds like a lot of his other stuff he's been putting out.
Mm-hmm. I will say,
hot garbage.
There's something to be said about a professional, consolidated studio being able to help you with editing, right? Like, because if you went back, like, let's say that you got the song now. Let's just say what he released was actually his rough draft.
Mm-hmm.
He brought that out, and you had like 6 or 7 other people actually there looking at it and be like, I like what you're. They probably wouldn't like what he's doing, but let's just say, like, I like where you're going with this, and I see what you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
If we did these tweaks and you kind of mixed this up and added something here, like if he actually, I don't know what you would add. I didn't actually get the song right, but I could see the benefit of having a team like that, because it'd be so much harder to have 6 minds all come together by yourself
on hot garbage.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, imagine if that was actually
if he actually had a team around, which he might, that he listens to.
Well, if
he listens to him, he would have been that song would have been.
Maybe, but if you look at it as a rough draft, how many of your rough drafts have been hot garbage?
Well,
like a first draft.
I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
That song is what it is. That song is not and but Kanye West is a thinker, right? Mm-hmm. He comes with listen to that song Jesus Walks. Brilliant. The lyrics of that song is brilliant. Mm-hmm. He a song that's going to take that type of a title, that's going to garner that type of a. You can't have a chant. It can't be a chant. It has to be thought provoking. The lyrics got to be thought provoking. It has to be something that's deeper than that. Something that's going to teach. Something's going to educate. Can't just be a bunch of bullshit. In my opinion,
right?
You can't have a title like that and it be a bunch of bullshit. Nobody cares that they can't just keep it in.
Right. Oh, I mean, you could have that.
Go to court. Go to court.
Your song.
Go to court. Yeah. Go to court. Get the kid. You know what I'm saying? Don't sit there and talk about I see my kid. Can't do my kid. Go to court. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We don't care. We don't need to hear your Hitler. Yeah, we don't need to hear your Hitler song. Well, I show the kids. I
think sometimes too, what makes it hurt from an art perspective is if you go too specific. You know what I mean? Let's just say, I'm assuming he had a scene and it was like, I can't see my kids. They've been taken from me, blah, 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 right? If you rethink that and make it more of a metaphor in different ways, right? I come from more of a rock fantasy genre. So let's just say something fantastical stole your kids and you can't see them because there's a wall keeping you from them. Something like that, right? Now it means more. You specifically meant it to say someone's keeping your kids from you. Yeah. But now you've got this wall that's keeping you from your kids.
He's saying they keep my kids from me.
Right.
Worse than Hitler.
Right.
So since I'm Hitler, hell.
How about this? What he could have done is been somebody came in and they stole my kids and they built a wall around me because they said I was so evil. And now I'm standing on my own podium screaming. And you could do something.
Yeah,
Right?
so that's what I'm saying. It could be,
Yeah,
you could
but
take that title and really turn it into a song that really, yeah, but he didn't do nothing. He was just straight up. Because he was trying to. He was trying to make a song. He had a title. He said, "I'm gonna put this song title. It's gonna garner the attention. It's gonna garner."
Yeah, I think he just threw it out there as a vent. And I've heard vent songs; they're usually not very good. But
A big song and a song that's just like, you know what? What can I do to cause a star?
Yeah, trying to make some
What
controversy.
can I do to cause a star? It's clearly real talking about it. So that's what he wants. All publicity is good publicity.
Yeah. I mean, everybody else is going to talk about it. I really was thinking of a perspective of, can you even do that? And I think it shouldn't be disallowed. I think people should be allowed to do it. Because obviously, content and intent should mean something in these. And he wasn't out there saying Hitler was good.
Yeah, if you're putting up the song.
Right. Now you come out and you start saying, he was right, blah, 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 and all that trash, then yeah, your song should probably be.
That should be banned.
Banned. We should.
Banned.
Right.
And I know we have,
yeah.
We got our Constitution, right? Right. It has a
thing
in this to be able to say,
and I say that is almost a free speech absolutist. That if you're gonna, because you can't make a song pro Hitler that doesn't also advocate violence. And
exactly,
advocating for violence is clearly
and not allowed. Somebody with that type of stature, somebody that's like that, right? Sensitive, but no. It would be. I'm not saying that's what he's doing. It would be. It's just
in a different context.
Information like that would rally up people, right? That would possibly cause harm. Yeah, that should be allowed. The honesty is that it should be criminal. It is. You gotta have a certain. It is criminal. It's actually you gotta have a certain responsibility. Yeah. Live a certain lifestyle. You're a certain person with a certain stature. You should actually need to have a level of responsibility. You don't even need a certain stature. If you advocate for violence that is straight up illegal, and in the First Amendment, there are cutouts. Yeah. For advocating for violence and things like that. Like it's illegal to scream fire in a movie theater, for example, if there's no fire, because you're going to cause a panic and people are going to do stuff that's going to theoretically get hurt. So it's actually not legal to do things like that. So if you were to actually go out and make that song, it would be illegal because it would be, in a lot of ways, but then, very subtle, but a call to violence. You also have and say you can't have songs that say "fuck the police." Well, that's not a call to violence. Yeah, it's close, but well, it depends on what you're talking about. I mean, in the song, right? It's close. But if you're over here, I think we're in the gray area. Back it up, well, that's what I'm saying. Like that, the song. I recorded a couple of "fuck the police" songs myself. I don't think specifically saying "fuck the police" is a call of violence, but there was one song, and this is not my genre. It's like what is it, like call 187 on a cop? That's Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre. Now, I will say that's what I'm saying. That one is more of a call to violence. "Fuck the police." Again, that's not my genre. And just the song is a rap. He was actually the first rap artist to be arrested. They heard that song. So there's that song called "Deadly Game" that he sang in that song. 187 on the D. See, that's the thing. Did they try to pull you over? I think that is the face, y'all. Right, but that is the specific. I think that one actually does break the law, where it's saying, in this case, if this happens, do this. Like they are actually giving you a guide on what specifically to do, as opposed to the general feeling of the Snoop Dogg one. One of my favorite songs, I think. It's a very good song. One of the hardest rap songs you can hear. Steve-O's one of the hardest rappers in ever.
Yeah.
Grew up on that. Grew up on that.
Okay.
But that's what I'm saying though, is there if you start because once you start censoring, you gotta censor there.
Right. If
You know what I mean?
set-
Because everybody would
precedent.
everybody would agree. Anything that is racial, anything they're promoting Hitler, promoting anybody who killed and mass murdered anybody, promoting any of that is automatically a no.
Right. I mean, yeah.
So
It should be.
it should be. But then I'm gonna be honest. Like I said, that song, SIBO, Deadly Game, where he's wanting to do that. Listen, I listened to that song. That song's been in my rotation. That song came out in what, 98? It's been in my rotation for 2 decades.
I want to say there's a difference between making the call of action and the art within it, right? So if you just look at it as the song, the art, it can still be a good song.
Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily mean it's not illegal as far as what we're talking about, right?
And that's what I'm saying. So I'm not okay with this, then why am I okay with that?
Well, because you like the song, but you understand that.
Well, that should be enough to okay it.
Well, it doesn't.
Because I like the song, it should make it okay.
Well, no, but
Just like if I like somebody,
you just said it's not okay. You understood that the message in of itself is a call to violence, but you can still like the song, right?
Yeah, and
I don't know if that makes perfect sense.
No, it makes sense.
It's a weird thing where it's like you're like, I like the song because
if
the song
I hear a
itself is
song
good.
and it's talking about killing Jews or blacks,
Mhm.
I don't hear that shit.
Well,
Even if it's a great song, I don't hear it.
Mhm.
I don't hear it.
Well, here's something funny. If you want to be real pedantic and specific about it, technically, the song "To Be a Man" from Mulan is talking about killing the Huns, and the Huns are a real people. Context matters.
I'm gonna go.
It's be the man. I'm training so we can go out there and kill the Huns, and they're making it all like anyway. Beside the point. Context also matters. That's why I bring it up.
Yeah,
Right.
But Disney's always been crazy too.
Right, but I bring it up because specifically, it's not actually a call to action, but within the context of the song and understanding and actually listening to it, it's not like, hey, we're actually gonna fucking train and go to Mongolia or wherever and kill the Huns, right? Like it's not an actual call to violence, but if you listen to just the words, you could make an argument that it is. So it's like you also have to factor in
it was actual, it's cultural, right? It's cultural history.
Well,
right?
That's what I mean, context, because they're literally at war and being attacked by the Huns. So there's I'm just providing a
counterpoint.
I'm just trying to put on a counterpoint. Make it different.
You know what would be okay? Yeah. The Jew came up with a song wanting murdering the Nazis.
Well, right, but the Nazis don't exist anymore.
What I'm talking about.
If
it's okay to come out with a song that's mass murder is somebody to a group who's already disliked. Okay.
I'm gonna say you wouldn't even need to be a Jew. If anybody come out with a song and go kill Nazis, everybody's like,
anybody, they'll be okay with that.
I mean, the song is trash, but I'm okay
with that. Like I remember watching Looney Tunes, saying Bugs Bunny when I'm a kid, and when they show war against the Nazis.
Well, right, because nobody's on the side of the Nazis.
Exactly.
That's why.
But
they're the world's
mass murder, promoting mass murder, promoting mass murder. Right? So
then here's my question. What's the difference between a war and mass murder?
Well,
because
yeah. So
right. So that's why I'm just pointing out the gray zone.
Yeah, but if there was, let's say, well, man, technically, I guess that's what happened. We saw the Nazis were doing, and we didn't agree, saying like, wait, and then we smothered them.
Right. And we should have.
We should have.
Nobody's arguing against
We
it.
should
Right.
have.
But
You know?
but that's I only bring this up not in defense of anything, but to say if you promote a war against the Nazis, nobody's going to care because we understand.
And I think that's why
And that's
I don't
because
care
the
about
context.
I don't care about the fuck the police song.
And that's because there's a
There's
context.
context behind it. There's history behind it. There's reality behind it. Where
Right.
there have been times where, you know, the certain areas, certain regions in this country, the police have been looked at as a gang.
Oh yeah.
You know, they've perpetrated themselves. Like I've seen footage when they was whooping that dude's ass years ago. Was that Rodney King whooping his ass?
Yeah.
That was a gang meeting.
Wasn't it 97?
It's definitely the 90s. I want to say 92.
Yeah, I mean, because that was a thing.
Yeah. That was
Lions got
that was
song
a gang.
about it.
That was a gang
Right
meeting.
afterward, anyway. I mean,
That was a gang meeting.
and understanding the context of the time, which I think is why everybody let Snoop Dogg's 187 on top go, is because they understood the context.
The context of why he's saying, of why they're saying fuck the police.
Which again, if you say fuck the Nazis, everybody understands.
Everybody understands why.
Nobody's mad at it.
Not to say that there's some good cops. I know some person that are solid individuals. You know, so you would ever see that I see as good.
I don't think you can have the ideology of the Nazis and be a good person.
Exactly.
Right? Like there's no way you could, I mean, it doesn't even have to be Nazi. You can't be a racist and a good person.
Yes, very true.
Right. Deep racist. I think
there's levels of racism.
Because if you were
levels of racism, there's levels and there's racism that's hate, and there's racism of ignorance.
Right.
You know what I mean? And just not being. You know, listen, people, you're raised how you're raised. You know what I'm saying? And where you're raised, you don't have control over that.
No.
So, you know, if you're raised somewhere where you don't see nobody but people that look like you know, you're not going to really understand that, you know, reaching up to touch these hair is inappropriate. You know what I'm saying?
Touching somebody without permission.
Yeah, that's inappropriate. But you know what I'm saying.
Like that shouldn't even be.
You know, people.
You don't know this person.
You looking at somebody and saying, "Oh, you know, it's people don't understand if you're coming from a certain area that's a little more sheltered, you know, that to me it's not. You don't hate.
No. Well, there's ignorance.
That's what I'm saying.
And I don't
racism of hate.
That's true. Because ignorance is ignorance, and you could just have a misunderstanding and not necessarily be racist.
And that's not making it. That's not saying it's okay.
Yeah.
It's just saying, you know.
Well, it's excusable.
It's more understand. It's not. You're not.
You can train. You're
not going to get an immediate.
You can learn. You can teach somebody out of ignorance.
Yeah. You can get your ass whooped with ignorant racism. You get your ass whooped for pain. You get your ass whooped for pain. Well,
you can still get your ass whooped for ignorant racism. However, I think people need to start understanding there is a difference, and if somebody doesn't know, they don't know, and if you want to get rid of that surface level of racism, I guess, it's about a communication. It's about a community. It's about getting together with people
connected,
right, other than you. And it was weird to me. I didn't realize this was weird. I've always had friends of all the different racial groups, right? I was like, you're a cool dude, let's hang out, right? It never really bothered me, or I never
something that you thought about.
Yeah, like some of my first friends when we moved back to Pennsylvania. The first friend I met is a Native American, and then my second best friend was white, but that's beside the point. And then the third guy I met is a Peruvian.
That also goes to show how you're raised.
I just happen to be in that kind of. Well,
but it does. Well, it has to show how you're raised.
I wasn't
something that you would notice. That you would notice, like this guy. You didn't notice that because that
wasn't something. Notice it, but
that wasn't something that was. You have to be top there.
You kind of do.
You got to be top there. You know what I'm saying?
Because look at our kids. They just play. They don't. They don't care.
You got to teach them, man. You stay away.
Yeah.
Or it might not even be saying you stay away. It's just little remarks
Well, okay.
over the years
Here's
saying,
actually, I saw this a long time ago. Do you know who Daryl Davis is?
No.
This will be it. Since we're here, let's just go into it. So Daryl Davis is a black man who is responsible for converting over 500 KKK members, neo.
I know you're talking about.
Right.
He infiltrated
He didn't infiltrate. So
well, he was the black man that was around him.
well, he was. Well, I guess. I mean,
right there.
yes. So we gotta. I'll link you the Joe Rogan chat where he was actually talking to this dude. It's amazing. And what he goes into, not going too deep into his actual story, is he talks about how most of these people who are in like the deep areas become super racist isn't the path you would think. And what I mean by that is the way he explained it, because he would talk to these people, is you would, it's been like 10 years, hold on. You would go to your town, and what would happen is the poor white neighborhoods, because neo-Nazi KKK people would have their towns decimated by taking like the car industries out or the coal industry or all their jobs are gone now.
Yeah.
And they're like, what's going on? Why did our jobs go away? We don't have anything and we're poor because we don't have any money. And what happens is you get that first guy. Well, I'm going to call him a recruiter. He's probably not. Of one of these racist organizations comes in there, right? And they go, well, you know what happened? They took X, Y, and Z jobs and they put them in black neighborhoods. And they're like, what? And then he'll bring up some stats of more jobs in black neighborhoods or something, right? And it starts with that. Like, why? Why?
Well, I mean, that's exactly what Trump has been doing with the immigrants. So that tactic has never changed.
Oh, right.
They're doing it to. That's what they're saying. They're taking all your jobs, but in reality, we all know what's pretty wrong.
Well, I don't. There's.
But I mean, that is a way. That is a way to how hate
Mhm.
can be
Well, 'cause-
built and be raised.
Yeah, but that was crazy. Is like listening to his story about how these happened. The general story is it would come in and you would see all these things, and they would say this, and then it would get in, and then the Klan or whatever would come in. All of a sudden, it becomes an actual hate. And these people were like, when they first met him, were like, I don't understand. You're not you as a black guy aren't anything like what I was told to think or told to believe.
And I know, also a lot of, like you think back in the day, like 1800s, right, where it was just straight up cold hard racism, right? There's probably white folks back there who had a front as if they're racist.
Some
They
probably
had a act. You come around you come around other people, go to church or whatever, and everybody's full of hate. You don't necessarily hear those views, but back then,
well,
they would lit your ass too,
right?
Just for showing love to somebody.
There's an acceptance. So this is the actual story of how Nazi Germany got to where it is. Right now, granted, we can see it. We have examples where like people are fighting it, good and bad. But if you look at it, what's happening is in the example of going back into the 1800s. Right, a lot of people were for it. I don't know. I wasn't there, but it was considered acceptable. And because it was considered acceptable, I think less people were like
Racist was acceptable
in like the 1800s.
I think it was more. I think it was almost mandatory.
Oh well, I mean,
I think it was something that you had. You would be the odd man if you.
Yeah.
Let's say that there's somebody that's watching.
Yeah.
You're watching Black Family, which I'm sure was seen and happened hundreds of times. You're watching a Black family get brutally beaten for absolutely no reason. You don't like it. You hate seeing this. You know, and your heart is wrong. You can't sit there and tell me that there's 1800s. Every single human being was a piece of shit. No, there had to be some people out there who had good in their heart. You know what I'm saying? There had to have people who had good in their heart. You can see how that grew into Martin Luther King and so on. But you're watching this, right? But if you go to their defense, you will be killed as well.
Yeah.
If you go to the defense, you're going to be killed.
Right.
If not beaten.
Right.
You're going to be beaten for sure.
Yeah.
And
like,
now
that's a
your
hard thing.
family, and now your family is going to get crosses burned in their yard. Now your kids are going to get harassed and terrorized at school. So it's better to keep your mouth shut. Matter of fact, you might even want to see somebody see you grab a little pebble and throw it out. Yeah.
I mean, I just had bad.
You know what I'm saying? I was having this conversation with somebody. I was like, man,
That's a good point.
there's people back then who weren't racist, but they had to be.
I think there was. I think there was a lot. Actually, there was.
There had to be.
No, I mean there was.
There's no way that there's
was,
all
right?
people were pieces of shit.
Yeah. And I think there's the legal exception. I mean, you could literally own another human being, right? So there was a legal.
You would
exception.
get away with with beating somebody,
Yeah,
killing somebody.
right. And then like right after,
there's no risk. There's absolutely no risk of being persecuted for this.
Well, you probably got something for it. I bet there was a reward.
You would get a pat. You would definitely get a pat on the back for everybody in the goddamn community.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's no risk of going to jail, being these crimes being brought. You don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Unless, as long as you kill the right, you want to kill them. Now, white crime is why you go sit your ass up in this courtroom talking about this.
Well, right.
Oh, but you killed that black fella?
That was considered crime. Well, because I
You
mean,
killed that black fella
I
for
wonder-
years. Roughly ruined his life for that life.
Right. I wonder how much of it, because I obviously I don't understand it at all, but I wonder how much of it was a lingering, these aren't really humans from the slavery time.
Well, yeah, that too.
Right. Because that dehumanizing them was the first step. Well, it wasn't, but let's just say.
But as a human yourself, you gotta, you can. That is what I'm positive. That right there was probably the excuse people told themselves every time they woke up in the morning.
No, it was
continue.
Yeah, it was that they are
continue.
That was literally the argument.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. In order to justify that piece of shit behavior, you got to tell yourself some type of lie, right? And what we know as human beings, we will lie to ourselves in order to continue to do something we know. I do it myself, right? I lie to myself to continue to do things I know damn well I shouldn't be doing. Excuses for it. I'm doing it because of this.
Yep.
Well, look what you did. Now I'm gonna do. So yeah, you're gonna have to wake up in the morning and go do some pieces, some low down dirty shit. You're gonna have to look yourself in the mirror, convince yourself that what you're doing is okay. And what better way than to convince yourself? Well, you're not all the way human. So what I'm doing, and God's not going to punish me for this. They're not, excuse. But it's bullshit.
Right.
When you look in the mirror and you're telling yourself that, it's bullshit.
I think there were some people.
Ain't nobody back then that 100% thought that these things. What would make you think
put it past them?
Well,
okay, so they thought they were humans, but I believe that their actual arguments were that they were less a sub form. Is I think what they were thinking. From what? Right?
How so? I don't
know. I'm trying to put my mind. Right? It's a little hard to think.
Yeah, I have to ask myself, what could they see? Unless you thought that it was a tale. What did you see that made you think this person is different from me besides the skin?
Well, I'm just trying to think about if I were there, what
so situation? I don't believe anybody genuinely 100% believes that. I think that's just something you say to mentally and spiritually be okay with your piss poor behavior.
Oh, right.
It's just an excuse.
Yeah,
you don't really believe it. There's nobody. I mean, they were dumb back then, but they weren't that dumb.
Yeah,
they weren't that dumb.
Well, I mean,
and then you got to ask yourself, what did you see?
Actually, no. Let's look at it from this perspective. They were taught that, basically indoctrinated into thinking that this was a sub form of human that they're looking at, right? That it's possible that they might have believed it because since they were children, they were
Yeah, but
raised.
but what did you see that? So just somebody said it.
I have no idea.
So what you have to have seen? That's what I'm saying. They have to have
I can't give
seen.
you all these answers. I wasn't
They
there.
have to have seen something.
I'm just trying to think of.
That's why I'm not buying it. You know, they have to see something.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm just trying to argue it.
you know, if a doctor, yeah, let's say a doctor came out and said, you know what, we just did an autopsy on this black fella.
They did.
Well, okay, so then that means
Why? I don't know, but they
well,
did.
no, they probably did. But then what you have to then be now, oh, he said that. You have to tell us what they found that says that.
I mean,
Okay, you did an autopsy and you found what? Yeah.
I don't know. But I would have to put far more research into it to find out they were wrong than would be necessary. But if I remember, it's like there was all of these. I mean, dude, they had doctors saying cigarettes were fine for a long time. And
Well,
people
yeah,
believed it, right?
yeah.
So the idea that they could skew their results.
Well, that's because they didn't have all the information they had. Cigarettes.
Yeah, they had
They
doctors
did.
specifically designed to skew the results.
Oh well, that's not thinking that. That's lying.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Like the doctors were straight up lying.
Well, so yeah,
But
so
the
they
people
weren't doctors.
raised
They weren't
in
doctors that thought, you know what, these cigarettes aren't that bad. They were lying.
probably.
Well,
But-
they're skewing the report.
I'm just using that as evidence to say that you could have other people scamming.
Yeah,
And then people raised
and
in
I
it,
guess people were dumb.
indoctrinated in it,
People were
not
dumb back
realizing
then.
it. There's a real
People were dumb.
possibility that
So
some of
you
these
believe
people
what you want to believe.
Oh, absolutely. Now,
Yeah,
to be fair,
you believe what you want to
standing
believe.
there and looking at another human being that just doesn't share my skin tone,
You believe what you want to believe.
I would have a real hard time sitting there being like, well, it's not a human.
And when did you know? And
You know what I mean? Like,
coming to this country, the people that you saw darker skin. So you know, like
oh, right.
you know what I'm saying. So yeah,
Sorry, I thought you were talking about the slaves coming over.
over time, I'm talking about when people,
Gotcha.
when the white man first came to America,
Yeah.
you saw people here darker than you.
Yeah. Well, they knew that black people existed before coming, I believe.
Well, yeah.
No, they did because Magellan had already been into China.
So that's what I'm saying. Listen, they gonna come. You can convince yourself whatever you want to make yourself okay with your behavior.
Oh, right. I'm not denying that.
That's just the reality.
People absolutely do that. And they probably did that then. I was just trying to
They definitely
argue it.
did. Definitely.
I was trying to argue it too.
They definitely did.
Just to argue it.
And you know,
Devil's advocate.
and you can say that. You can say that to other people who were, you know, silent about seeing things that they knew was wrong. But although now in there, staying silent today is way different. Staying silent then.
It's safer.
Nobody's going to kill you today. You know what I'm saying? For standing up and saying the right thing and speaking out against things, you're not going to get killed for that thing. The chances of dying back.
Right. I mean, because you get away with murder so easy back then.
Chances of being murdered. You know, not just, they wouldn't just stop you. So, yeah. There's all just, you know, back then I understand that, you know.
Right.
And as you said, as we gradually went, things changed.
It 100%.
The laws changed.
Yeah.
More people get how you get
but
killed.
laws changing is evidence of that. Otherwise, nothing would have changed.
Well, I wouldn't say laws changed because murder is always.
Well, I'm not saying adding black people.
I think it's more so now everybody's being held accountable. But as time went on, it was more and more or less blind eye turned to murder. You know what I'm saying? Now you really have to be somebody to get away with murder.
But again,
you got to be high in politics to get.
That's evidence of people realizing, right? Because it's real hard. It's real hard, and I think part of the integration, like when they had that little black girl go to school for the first time, people did not like that. That was step one, and that's always the solution. Honestly, the solution is talking to people and integrating society together.
The solution
under a
is being
common-
uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
It wasn't
In
for me.
order for change to happen, people gotta be uncomfortable. That's what every barrier that has to be broken gets broken with discomfort.
Mhm.
You have to get through that first
Well,
level of discomfort.
I think that's actually the second. The first one is actually like in the racial context is actually talking to people. Then it becomes uncomfortable because now you have to take that within yourself,
Yeah.
right? You have to.
But I mean, that right there is where the discomfort starts.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Because I don't say nobody, but a lot of people don't want to have that conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't want to address somebody on that topic. You know what I mean? So you get this all you and they don't want to because it's uncomfortable.
Doing
It's
uncomfortable
uncomfortable to
things.
call somebody out on being a racist shit. Uncomfortable, you know, even if somebody's not racist, to say, hey, just cut on the prayer.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? You don't mean it. That's an uncomfortable conversation to have with anybody. It'll be uncomfortable for most people. Now some people don't mind. Such as myself. Even though it's not like having a conversation with somebody about sports. You know what I'm saying? It's not a conversation about sports. You know what I mean?
I think
I can sit here and shoot the shit about the Blazers all day long. But
I think there's also the other person has to kind of be receptive to it. Right. If they're just going to be like, well, F you, blah, blah, blah.
And
whatever.
yeah.
But there's also.
That makes it easier.
Okay. Oh, how clear.
Yeah, that makes it easier.
But I think the message also has to be delivered appropriately. Right? Because if you could walk up to somebody and they don't know, right?
Yeah.
If you're the person, like, hey, here's beautiful, can I feel it? And you get all wild, they're not going to understand. Because they already didn't understand.
Well, I mean, they don't understand, but they're going
to be like, well, that means you're real angry.
They're going to be defensive.
Right. But once you make someone defensive, their defenses are up.
Yeah.
The conversation.
Although, somebody reaches out to grab your hair and back the shit out. Yeah. That's a reasonable reaction.
That is a straight up barrier. Obviously, you don't do it. But I don't know. We just had that example.
But that's true though. Although if somebody reached up and grabbed your hair and you smack the shit out, that is a reasonable reaction to somebody touching you.
Yeah, you don't know what they're doing. What if they're about to pull on your hair? What if they're about to cut your hair? What you're doing? I don't know you.
But to your point, there's no conversation to be had after that. You just smack them. There is no talking.
Right.
Right?
I mean,
You flip out on yourself. You flip out on them.
Honestly, I don't even think that's.
But let's say you do flip out on them. You just cut them. Well, cutting somebody else is better than smacking them. You know what I mean? So you down somebody reaching and cussing.
Although honestly, I think just slap them. They cut. They shouldn't.
But to your point though, now the opportunity to teach
is gone.
It's gone.
Yeah. That's why I brought
the opportunity is gone.
That's why I brought it specifically. If I were to be like, hey man, that's cool. Can I feel or touch or blah blah blah? And you'd be like, no, I don't like that because, and then you explain. I'd be like, oh, all right. Because
my chick was told me that she was at the grocery store. And some lady reached out and touched my son's hair.
Don't touch my kid. Who the fuck are you? Kids especially.
And she was like, oh my God. She said, I wanted to freak out. She said, I told the lady, I said, do not touch my child.
Yeah.
But, she was like, oh my God, I didn't know how to react. Because I wanted to say and do a lot more, you know what I mean? But, she's in the grocery store.
I think she would have been justified in being like, well, what the fuck are you doing? Don't touch my kid.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is how she handled it.
Right.
So I was like, yeah, you don't want to flip out.
Right.
You don't want to flip out.
But I think I would react overly because, like, why are you touching someone else's kid that's not actively in danger? Right? If this kid is about to fall into a pool, run into the street, something like that, thank you. You saved my kid. But like, he's just standing there. Don't touch my kid.
Yeah. And I mean, the person wasn't trying to be, they weren't they were just like, "Oh my god, this kid's so cute. Look at curly hair, so cute." They really,
It's just,
me personally, if I was in that situation, I wouldn't have gotten upset at all. I would have just told that person, you should reach out to kids.
yeah,
People out there. Gotcha. You know what I'm saying? I would just let them know, like,
yeah,
so, I wouldn't have been upset because I'm here to teach. You know what I'm saying? And also, now 15 years ago, maybe I would have blew my top, caused the scene in that goddamn Safeway.
Mhm.
But now I'm at a point where it's more, I have come to understand the shortcomings of people.
Well,
Right.
right.
I understand that, first of all, not everybody's going to think like me. Your level of common sense or logic ain't going to be like me. Not going to be raised like me.
Right.
So I can't hold my standard I have for myself to other people. That's the level of disappointment. You'll be disappointed. I'll be living a life of disappointment if I held other people to the standard that I held myself, or my father has held for me. You know what I'm saying? The way he raised me.
I think people
Don't know.
well, I mean, just in general, you should try to hold yourself to a better standard.
You should.
Just anyway.
You should.
But
most people don't live like that.
yeah, but like touching someone else's kid.
Some people don't
is
know
so
that
weird.
is inappropriate. Now, anybody, I'll say this because this is the older person. Anybody your age, they don't understand that shit.
Yeah, this is
I will say, anybody our age will understand that.
yeah.
I think older people,
Maybe.
they will offer your kids something that I wouldn't offer them. First of all, if I'm gonna offer to my child anything, I'm gonna be talking to the parent first.
Right.
Before this kid knows I have this, can they have this?
Mm-hmm.
Boom. Right.
I mean, what if it's allergy, right? Like Jesus.
That's the main thing.
I mean, like, yeah.
But it's just that's the channel of how you're supposed to do things.
Right.
And a lot of people don't understand that. I think older people didn't understand that. Because it was it's different times. Like we're real big on stranger danger. And when they grew up, nobody was strangers. Everybody knew everybody where they grew up. Everybody, there was more trusting of people back then.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, I take that type of shit into account.
An older person, I think I would have given a little more leeway to.
I mean, I want to say that the lady was like an old bat. She was, but they were older. They were older.
Right.
Which they probably,
I generally would probably give an older person a little more leeway. For some reason, I just imagine someone already reaching out and just touching.
Yeah, and if it was some meth head, then it would have been a bigger problem.
If it was some meth head, they probably wouldn't have got close.
It would have been a bigger problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, if it was some quacked out homeless person, that would have been a bigger problem.
Yeah. No.
You know what I'm saying? It would have been a bigger problem. If it was some bejeweled woman looks like she lives in a mansion somewhere, I wouldn't flip out if it was a homeless person. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that matters too. What's that?
I guess context matters.
Context matters.
Context is important.
Times, generations, they think differently. Mm-hmm. And people, not even just that, people in general, everybody thinks differently. You can't, what I'm trying to tell so quick to think the negative. Right. You know what I'm saying? You can't be so quick to think, oh, they're out to get this on purpose. So some people just don't know.
You got to be prepared for it.
You got to be prepared for it, yeah. Because you got to run that through your database to see if that's a possibility. But you can't just react on that assumption. Yeah. You can make that assumption and then, compute. Right. But just to react off the assumption, there's a lot of people I've learned a lot of just don't. They don't know until they're told.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. I mean, how do you know?
How do you know until you're told? Yeah, we got this shit. Yeah.
This was fucking weird. I was in the Guitar Center thing, and I was sitting there and I was practicing with the guitar, testing out some things. I was looking to get something, and I swear to God, this like 8-year-old little girl comes over and she's like, "Hi," and I'm like, "Oh, hi, how are you?" She's like, "Do you know how to play?" And I'm like, "I know a little bit." and I played her hot cross buns or something. She's like, oh, ha, ha. And then she sat on my knee. And I was like, I'm about to go to jail. Right. And I'm holding onto the guitar like this now. Like,
yeah. So, yeah. If you know, and in all honesty, if that happens to me, immediately I'm like, oh, no, baby girl.
Well, I didn't have time.
Do not, and then I'm going to tell you,
Yeah.
do not sit on strange people's laps.
I was like 20 at the time, right?
You know.
So this little girl like sat on there, and I'm holding the guitar like, there's cameras. I've been holding the guitar. I didn't do nothing wrong. That was like my first thought. And then like my brain just went, what the fuck just happened? Because it's weird for me. Yeah. The little girl just sat on my lap. Yeah,
you're hella uncomfortable.
Yeah, and now immediately, luckily, the dad walked over, and I'm sitting there like, and he's like, did she just sit on your lap? And I'm like, yeah. I'm still hugging this guitar, right? So clearly he already knew, and then he pulled her off, and I'm hoping he took her away and had to talk with her because that's very unsafe for her. And yeah, I was just like, put this back, and I like left the store because I was like, ugh.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. That's a very, and that could have been anything could happen.
Oh my god. I was sitting there like this though. I was like on the guitar. I was like leaning back from her as far as
that's a dad that could have walked up and said, what the fuck are you doing with my kid?
I think
I'm telling you, he knows his daughter.
Yeah.
Right. He knows, okay, my daughter is a very talkative,
very
friendly. She's very outgoing. She's, she's probably she's a touch kid. Her boundaries aren't there. She has no boundaries.
Yeah.
He knows that. He knows that about her. But
I think also maybe hopefully walking up to it, he saw that I was like leaning away and like holding the guitar like
he probably saw you were uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think that also would have helped because if I was like, oh, and I put my arm around her, that would have been a completely different conversation.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah, but I was just so thrown off at the idea that this kid that didn't even know me. You walk up like, hey, you play that cool blah blah blah, and then you like walk away. I've done that as a kid, whatever. But like to then just sit on their lap, I was like, what? Who raised you?
Yeah, no, like I've had kids kind of trying to get on. That's how they're over here. Nothing in on here. You're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
And I'm telling them, you can't just be sitting on people like that.
Yeah. I was nowhere like this. I was too young. I didn't have the life to like even think like that at the time.
Yeah.
I was almost like,
and people, you don't want to raise a kid to be afraid of the world.
No.
But you don't have to scare them to teach them about it.
You shouldn't have to.
You got to teach a kid that they cannot jump on people's laps.
No,
just can't do it. You got to teach them.
Well, you got
to teach them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
You don't have to tell them they're going to be kidnapped and murdered. You don't have to go that far.
It's such a weird thing, right? Like, I would never tell Leo specifically, don't sit on strangers' laps, because I feel like that is a too specific of a thing. Like, I shouldn't, like, in the discussion of these are people you don't
Once
know.
you see it happening is when that means,
Well, obviously.
Because they might not ever be a type of kid that, like, I know one of my sons, Malachi, he for sure is not going on nobody's lap. No. He's not going near anybody. Now, Leo Messiah, he will not go, he ain't gonna get nobody's lap, but he will go and talk. He will go up and talk to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
He will look up at somebody and say hi.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's funny. Depending on the day, Leo does that too. Some days he'll be like, hi, 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 hi. And then other days he's just like,
yeah. Malachi, for the most part, he ain't.
Which I think is, it's where I want him to be, where he's friendly enough to be able to say hi.
Yeah.
But cautious enough to be like, I don't actually know you.
Yeah. You don't want them to be too friendly, but you also want to be afraid of people.
Right.
You don't want to be afraid of humans.
No.
And honestly, it's just a tough world to live in. It's a tough world we're living in raising kids because you don't want them to view the world a certain way. But then again, you also want them to be ignorant. to the realities of the world. So it's a very, very thin.
I think
It's a very thin line. This is a fucked up world.
what I'm thinking now, you brought it up. I want him to be ignorant to things until a certain age.
For sure.
Is the best way I could
For
describe
sure.
that.
For sure. They didn't have the innocence.
Mm-hmm.
They had the innocence.
I mean, there's no reason that as a 5-year-old, let's say 5, so they're more aware of understanding what you're saying. There's no reason for a 5-year-old to know the darker side of things yet. Realistically, now you could start teaching discipline and perseverance and things like that, but to have them be actually aware.
They should be worried about people kidnapping them.
Yeah, like they could be cautious.
Be aware that car will kill you.
Yeah,
Ass in the street. You know what I'm saying? Be aware.
They should be aware that you don't know these people.
Yeah.
Stay away from them.
It could be dangerous.
Right. They don't need to know why. Yeah. Like you said, it's a fine line. Like, how do you, right? Like, because I hear people talk about this, and I'm like, you don't have kids. But it's like they're like, oh, we're just gonna tell them everything. I'm like, you're gonna tell a 5-year-old fucking?
You don't tell them anything.
Really, you want your 5-year-old to know about OD on drugs? Like, what are we
never
talking
gonna. I'm just gonna be transparent. Man, it's your ass.
Maybe when they're like 13.
You guys,
But
even then, there's lies. Because when I came to a certain age, as an adult, I realized my dad is a totally different person who raised me.
Yeah, right.
But that's a totally different person that raised me. Quite frankly, pretty similar to what I'm saying. Well, he's a totally different dude. Mm-hmm. There's things that I've done, conversations that I've had with him as an adult that I would never think I'd ever see or hear. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's because he presented himself in a certain manner. When I was a kid, and it did change as I grew. When I was a kid, that was like shit. It's like God. That's right. He said go. Yeah. Whatever he said, I mean, like the hand of the law. Like, this is the hand of God. Yep. And then as growing, I mean, he was always a that just have fun and but he was very strict. I remember one time we was at a little dinner, some their friend's house. And the lady who was the hostess, she came to me, she said, oh my God, hey. She said, do you want some candy? She offered me some candy. And of course, like any kid, I'm like, yeah. Okay. Over to the side. It said, you don't always have to accept everything offered to you. At that moment, I'm like, the fuck you thought this bitch offered this to me? Bring me here to this party and she's offering me something. You tell me I can't take this candy? I'm 10 years old. I'm like, what? But that always stuck with me. And I never understood it until one day as an adult, my mind finally wrapped up with it. You don't always have to accept everything offered to you. You know what I mean? You learn sometimes, someone offers you something, it's a little rude to say no. Right. You know what I mean? In certain circumstances. In other circumstances, it's like, they offered it to you, but it don't mean you have to, jump on it.
When I re-upload this video, it's just going to be titled Context Matters.
Context matters. It does. And it's something that I was just so mind blown as a kid. I'm like, yeah, I can't even accept anything. So what am I doing here? You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't ask her for that, But, it's just something that later on, it's like, yeah, you don't always have to hop on everything, man. Sometimes the best thing, sometimes people just offer you something because they're just being nice. That's all they have. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You gotta read the room. That's all they have. And they're just offering to be nice and they're hoping your ass says no.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's something that always stuck with me. That's something that I don't know if that was his. He could have just been happy. Maybe he gets got his girlfriend at the time. So he was having a bad day. He was tired of me getting. That was my fourth candy of the day. I don't know what his motive was. He said this shit.
You learned something from it.
But yeah, I learned something. I didn't learn it that day. I learned that shit 10 years later.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
I hope I can do that. Right, like that's not something I would even be able to plan.
Yeah, it's just
I just hope I can throw something at him that like he's like, that was sweet.
That resonates later.
Yeah, and then later he's like,
that's a parenting win right there.
Mm-hmm.
That right there is a parenting win.
Oh yeah.
And my dad, he's the type, even to this day, if I get my dad's car right now, if I hop in his car and we go get something to eat or whatever, the ride there, I'm gonna get dropped off, have learned something. He's going to be talk to me. I'm gonna tell him something about my day or something that's going on, something about something, and he's gonna find something that he can then say, he's gonna teach me something.
Because he's already done it.
He's
made that mistake.
He's always in parent mode.
Mm-hmm.
Always in parent mode. Even to this day. I'm 41 years old. Even to this day.
Mm-hmm.
He's always in parent mode. He's always teaching all of his kids. My sisters, everybody. He's always teaching, man. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the type of parent I'm trying to be. I'm trying to always teach my sons. Constantly try to, I don't leave. I try not to leave opportunities unturned when it comes to trying to they're only two, right? So they can't gather too much information, you know what I'm saying? But, I try to talk to them. Even today, I try to talk to them and try to, connect with them on their level and try to get them to understand certain things, Which sometimes most times they don't understand shit.
No.
But sometimes, I see they're learning, it's making a change, certain things. Like I told this dude last night, he's jumping on the couch crazily, and I'm noticing, this he's jumping low. He's not caring. Like he's jumping at me, turning his back, and if I don't catch him, he's gonna hurt him. He's gonna fall on the ground. Type shit. You know what I'm saying? So no, I kept telling us this, son, you need to calm down now. In a little while, you're gonna get hurt. Mm-hmm. Sure enough, he came bouncing. Boom! He bounced up. Next thing I know, he went over the back of the couch.
Damn, you were going crazy.
Oh, he was going. He cleared the back of the dog. First of all, I'm not really even paying attention. I just seen in my peripheral that he was going over. And when I looked, all I see was the back of the legs. He was going over. And his mom freaked out. She ran over there. Mm-hmm. He was crying. He was fine. But, that boy bounced. And I saw it. Now, we play all the time. He runs and jumps on me and all that. But I noticed this time, man, this is getting a little crazier. You're a little more reckless this time. Yeah. You're not watching what you do, you're not paying attention. Usually he runs into me. This time he was throwing himself. I had to catch him. If I don't catch him, you missed the couch. What are you doing, man? You really depending on me? You really trust me that much? You trust me that much that you just don't. It's a good feeling. You go jump up in the air and let your body go and go get caught.
My kid was doing he wasn't jumping like that, but he was on the armrest.
Standing on it?
Yeah, he was standing there. And I'm like, what are you doing? You gotta get down. Leo, get down. Leo.
All it takes is the one move, sway backwards.
He fell 3 times.
How did he fall though? Like a foot missed and he fell down feet first? So
once he I caught it, he fell towards me, so he fell onto the couch, right? Mm-hmm. And then another time he was sitting there and he was kind of leaned back too far and just boom, right onto the floor on the other side of the couch. And I was like, God damn it, buddy, don't do that.
Yeah. Right? See, that's what his mom kept yelling about, standing right there on the arm.
I don't know. Why? What is it about that arm?
Tile from the fireplace. Mm-hmm. That's what he would land on.
Mm-hmm. Well, he had some tall plastic toys that were right there. and I thought he wasn't stopping, so I moved him
Uh,
because I was like, he gonna fall and he gonna learn a lesson today.
yeah.
So I moved all the toys out of the way
Get
so he
it out
wouldn't
the
hurt
way.
himself.
Yeah.
But he fell. He had a little bruise for a minute, but I kept telling him, dude, get down. One time he was going too hard on him. He yelled at me, freaked out. Oh, daddy,
It was all hurt.
Yeah. And I'm like, bro,
They put their head down and look up at you.
but he does the like super like, I don't know, I can't do it because I'm a baby, but like he's got that like super like, right? But he did. Oh man, he was going. I don't know why. He's such a crazy cautious kid. Like remember when we went to that play place? And he like doesn't even like go up steps without holding your hand or something. But for some reason he's like, oh yeah, this is safe.
Yeah, I see that. Man, Messiah is very
got his cautious.
Messiah is extremely cautious. He ain't going. I ain't worried about him falling. He ain't gonna do nothing crazy.
Mm-hmm.
He climbed on the back of the couch, throw his feet over the back, and hang by his arm. He'll do that, But he's not going to stand up on the back of the couch and then jump not onto the couch, but jump past from the back of this dude jumps from the back of the couch onto the floor in front of the couch. It's just like, and when he lands on his feet in like his butt, and then his head comes slamming on the ground. I'm like, son, you're going to knock yourself out.
Oh man, you can't. That's hilarious.
You're going to concuss yourself, dude. It's just so the anxiety that I have, and I try to tell myself, fuck it, almost. I try to tell myself, fuck it, almost. Like, he's not going to hurt himself that bad, but it still is fucking scary. You know what I mean? But I try to tell myself, man, Mike, you gotta let him. He gonna have to learn one way.
Yeah.
Me catching him every time, stopping him every time ain't gonna teach him nothing. He's gonna have it. Yeah. Busting his shit. Yeah, he's had a couple nuts.
Yeah. Leo's fallen a few times, but yeah, that time I was trying real hard not to get up and like just grab him because then he wasn't gonna learn.
Yeah.
And
but you don't want to sit there watching hurt like that.
Yeah. I mean, when he stood up and his head was like, way up there, I would pull him down or whatever. But like when he was sitting on it, I was like, all right, I think you can take this fall. You're
sitting on it, yeah, that's not that bad.
I'm like, it's not that bad. I moved all the toys out of the way so you're not gonna like cut nothing.
Yeah, the toys
like,
snap
your neck
See, that's why he fell behind the couch. That's why I was worried about. I said, shit, I don't want to look behind this couch. We put a lot of it, like just the ride toys, they ride on. There's a lot of that shit back there.
Oh yeah.
But luckily, he just fell on the ground.
Yeah.
It's nothing. Fell head first.
The wife panicked though. That was funny.
Oh, she
not for her.
She lost.
He was like, "Oh my God, Leo!" He was like sitting there, like obviously it's like
they lose their minds, don't they?
Yeah,
they lose their minds, man. Like
it's funny. I was in the Arizona, and on my last day there, I went to the Texas Roadhouse. I'm sitting at the bar eating. Old dude sits next to me at the bar. Probably an old dude, and we're talking about some stuff. And he told me he had like 18 kids, and he's an old dude. And he had like a 6-year-old. A lot of them were adopted. I think like 3 or 4 of them were his, but we were talking about it. And I was telling him the story. Leo sitting on the thing and getting ready to fall, and he's like, "I'm surprised you did that." And I was like, "Why?" I'm like, "Well, because you're a first time parent." I'm like, "Yeah." It's like usually they overprotect it. And I was like, "I really wanted to, but
yeah."
but I was like, if I get up and pull him from it every time, what's he gonna learn?
Never gonna learn.
And he is a lot better at it now that he fell a couple times that day. That he can get up there and he'll sit there, and you can tell he's got a foundation where he'll like sit on it, and he's always leaning a little forward now, like he figured it out, which is cool. But man,
5 minutes after going up over that couch, he was right back at it. Cried for 5 minutes and then chill. He's bouncing right back again. I was like,
yeah, Leo too. Like he cried for a while. I don't know.
I had to shut it down. I said, we're done bouncing.
Yeah,
We're done. For the night.
Yeah.
We're gonna sit here. We're gonna watch this movie. What are we watching? Bambi.
Man, yeah, like Leo goes crazy on the bed, not the couch, really. Like he'll jump on the couch, right? And for whatever we have our bed up against the wall and under the window, and the window comes out. Like the windowsill comes out a
Uh-huh.
little bit like that.
Baby.
And he throws his head
Oh yeah,
around on the
man.
bed. And he goes towards that window. And sometimes like, he's way over there.
Yeah.
I can't reach him now. And I'm like, oh shit. Okay, good, he's good. And then he hits his head on the wall every now and then.
Yeah, my son went head first straight into the wall.
Yeah.
Nah.
Mm-hmm. You did that. I don't know what he was doing.
He's had about 3 knocks.
Mm-hmm.
Just like a few days ago, he had a knock behind his head from falling. Oh, I guess he died. He claimed his brother hit him with a trampoline. So, I didn't think I don't know.
We like picked up the trampolines. Went.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see him doing that. You know.
Kind of heavy for
Yeah, that's heavy. I'm such a break out, but you know, Matthias, Malachi, it's cool. Dominance.
Mm-hmm.
He can pick up that. But yeah, those are the stresses of fatherhood.
Fun though.
Yeah, it's fun as hell. Fun as hell.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing them grow, you know, proud moments. You know, hearing them talk more and more. Next, you know, I was walking into my bedroom, and my son was coming out with some toys. Yeah, you could tell he's really excited to get into the room with these toys. And we like did a little. He got in each other's way for a second. It's like, oh, sorry, excuse me, Dad, and just moved on past me. And it's just like he sounds so grown. You know, it's just like. But then, next time I try to ask him, what movie you want to watch,
Right. And sometimes we'll spit out like an adult sentence, and I'll look at him,
be like, damn.
what? And then like the next minute, he's like,
Yeah. It's like, okay.
It's like all of a sudden he forgot how to speak, and I'm like, fluke? Like, what?
Yeah. Play with me. Playing games. You not talking. Yeah, it's bullshit.
He is a talker though. This kid, most people are always like we were at the library and he was sitting there, he was talking to me and mom, right, about something. And some lady's like, how old is he? I'm like, oh, he's like 2. And she's like, 2? Talks a lot.
Loud.
Yeah. And I was like, well, he's not babbling. He's like talking, right? He's like, this is a blue house or this, and then I got this, and then I want to play with this, and we got a key here. Like, it's just random thoughts, right? But he will just talk. And this lady was just like, he's 2, he talks a lot. Like my kid doesn't talk a lot, which is weird because I hear a lot of people saying that their kids at 2 to 4, I want to say, aren't talking. And I'm like, there's a lot of people. And I'm like, why aren't kids talking?
He constantly talking.
Mm-hmm.
Zion is more reserved.
Mm-hmm.
Like he'll sit and be quiet. But then there's times where he gets some times where he just goes nonstop. Especially if he's playing with his toys. If he got 2 toys, he'll sit there and, talk the toys.
Mm-hmm. This guy's doing this.
Yes, yeah. And talking to his toys, talking, fighting, whatever they're doing. But he is very quiet. And it's crazy when he was born. He was laying on the twins, right, too, right? One's laying there, crying. Malachi, his eyes over there, just chilling. Not crying nothing to the point I'm like, is he okay? Like, I'm like, is he all right? He's not. They said, oh, he's fine. And, I got it all on video too. Mm-hmm. I'm like, man, he's over here quiet, but he's quiet then, he's quiet now. He'll sit, he'll sit there and just chill. He's content sitting, chilling. Mm-hmm. Like if he's downstairs, our bathrooms are upstairs, right? So if he's in the living room watching TV downstairs, I can go upstairs and take a shit just to be the same spot. His brother, I can't do that. As soon as if I go upstairs, I've gone upstairs to go take a piss and came down, and this fool's pushing the damn chair up to the sink, trying to stand up to the sink to do whatever the hell he's trying to do. You know what I mean? Like, soon as I walk away, he's on it. It's like he's been waiting for me to leave. Now's my chance.
He's like a prisoner waiting.
It's like, dude, you just on a couch. How are you getting a chair from the dining room table and pushing it? The chair was up to the sink already. I'm like, immediately when I started going up the stairs, you hit your mission. It's crazy.
He was sitting there the whole time, like, okay, first time I'm gonna get the chair.
Yeah.
I'm gonna move it over there. And he had a whole plan. Like, as soon as Dad goes to bed.
As soon as he goes upstairs, it's my time to bring it action.
That's funny. Leo, though, much to my wife's dismay, doesn't stop. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, sometimes I just sit there, have a car, you drive your car a little back and forth. You're like, hi, car. Hi, car. This is the bus. And then he'll sing a little song to himself. But most of the time, he wants to go. He's walking, he's running, he's looking at stuff. He's like, Mommy, chase me.
One thing to the next.
Oh, man, just goes and goes and goes. I think it's fun. I play with him. We run around. I put him on my shoulders now. He goes, Daddy's head, because he wants to get on my shoulders, and I'll run around with him for a minute. And like, I like it. I think it's hilarious. She is getting so overwhelmed because she just wants to sit there for a minute. And I'm like, you wanted a boy. I told you. You're going to have to take him outside for a walk like a dog every now and then.
Honestly,
like
that's what I'm saying. We need to. They're going to burn up energy either in that house or. So, they're going to run. They're going to run.
On my days off, if I remember, I try to get to nap at about 12 to 1, somewhere in there. So if it's getting close to that, I go to the park. Go play in the park before your nap.
Yeah. Run down.
He runs around, he sits on the thing. We walk there, no stroller.
Run there.
We walk back, and he plays at the park. He gets on the thing, he swings around for a little bit, and then I lay him down. He's already half asleep.
By the time you get home now.
Oh, yeah, half asleep. I mean, make it a walk. Let's go to the coffee shop first. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you do the things to burn some of his energy, he'll sit there.
Yeah.
But
that's why this bedtime is when I said, okay, so get all the energy out. Away. And take a little bath. Said, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you gotta do all that.
You gotta do it all.
You gotta do all that. You know what I'm saying? You gotta.
It's probably harder for her because she's tired. She doesn't have that boy energy that we probably still have.
Yeah.
And I get it. It's not her thing. But I was like, babe, you want a girl. I was like, I want a girl. Because I wanted a girl. And I was like, you should probably have a girl. She's like, what do you mean? I'd rather have a boy. I'm like, he gonna be a lot. You do realize that, right? Like, the boys got energy.
Yeah. Well, my son's match energy, when they both on 10, that house is crazy, man. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. That's when you see golden shit. You know what I'm saying? That's when you see the funniest shit. It's when they're on 10, ripping and running, yelling out stuff, doing crazy stuff, come up to you, look in your face, do something crazy. That's when it's fun, man. Mm-hmm. That's what I love being there.
He'll do that too sometimes. He'll be like, just get the zoomies, right? You know what the zoomies are?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he'll just get up, and we got an island in the kitchen. He'll get up and he'll go, we run around it a couple times. I'm just laughing at him.
Run in the circles.
Yeah. And then he'll come up to me with like the most serious look ever and say nothing, right? Because it's just random words. Sometimes it's not even a word. And he'll be like, Daddy, I didn't give him the car. And then he'll go right back to running around the thing. I'm just like, what? Like, the face is just so serious, right? It's like the most important thing in the world.
It was very important what he had to say to you at that time.
And then he goes back to the counter.
He was like, oh, let me get back to this run.
Cracks me up. I'm like, what is all right, buddy? Yeah. The thing, the car.
They're definitely crazy.
Mm-hmm. He likes the touching of things, right? Let me get this in camera for people. Like someone I touching it. We were at Walmart yesterday because we're getting some bubble solution. We've got one of the things that blows off bubbles. That little thing in the moon. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We got one of those. And I was like, we don't have any bubbles? And he's like, no, I've been using dish soap. I'm like, we get bubbles. They're not that expensive. And we go into the store and he's like, he just started at one end of the aisle and just walked down the aisle, touching everything on the bottom shelf and saying what it was. And I was like kind of impressed.
Yeah,
I was like,
you're like,
yeah,
okay.
he got to one thing and he stopped and looked at it for a second. Dinosaurs. It's a bucket of dinosaurs. And he was like, "This is a car. This is a red car, and this is a blue car. This is a fast car." And then like he was describing the car
Yeah,
randomly.
man. She started saying stuff. Yeah, you like,
Mhm.
oh, look at you get smart.
And we were walking, and he just goes, "Motorbike." And my dude on motorcycles driving by, right? And I'm like, "Where did you even learn motorbike?" Yeah. All right. Well, it looks like the next people are coming in for the room. So like, subscribe, and we will see y'all next time.